Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 195 of the Club JG podcast. I'm your host, yours truly, John Graham, aka JEG. Let's get into it, guys. Baltimore Ravens losing again, falling to 1-5 to the LA Rams, falling 17-3. I gotta say here, the Ravens could have won this game. They actually had some opportunities there where they could have made this happen, but you had two fumbles from Zay Flowers when you actually had a drive going, and you just couldn't score when you got to the 1 yard line. Once with Derrick Henry in the backfield, you're at the 1 yard line. The Ravens have failed to score a touchdown. They tried to do the tush push with Mark Andrews twice. That didn't work. Then they finally ran it with Derrick Henry on 4th and goal, and he got stopped at the 3 yard line. It just makes you scratch your head like, how is that even possible when you have, again, Derrick Henry in the backfield? Just poor execution. It's really no excuse for why that didn't happen. The great teams figure it out. It just doesn't happen to the Chiefs. It doesn't happen to the Bills. It doesn't happen to the Eagles. It doesn't happen to the Rams. When you get to the 1 yard line, they capitalize. But what was encouraging for me was, wait for it, the Ravens defense. Now, I know that the Rams put up 17 points, but they came into this game averaging 23. They held this defense held this Rams offense to just 241 yards overall, 167 passing, 74 rushing. This is a team that came in averaging 269 passing yards and 106 rushing yards. So you held that team to well below their average. Yeah, they gave up 17 points, but a lot of it was because the offense did not help you. They gave this defense a really short field to work with, and it's really hard to contain a high-powered offense like that out of the end zone for so long. But I think the Ravens defense actually did an admirable job. I thought they played hard. I thought they really rallied to the ball. They created a turnover. That's something we haven't seen this season. They created a turnover. They really contained Kyron Williams in this running game, I think, very well. And I think that's something that you can carry into the bye week with you saying that, hey, the additions of Gilman, Gardner Johnson at the safety position, this allows the Ravens defense to use their ultimate chess piece, which is Kyle Hamilton. He is the chess piece. He's the guy that you can move around anywhere on the field on defense. If you wanted to play close to the line of scrimmage, cover as a linebacker, rush the passer, he can do all of that for you. So losing Odafe Owe, you gained that ability to use your best player and move him around a whole lot more, which I think will bode very well for this defense going forward because I saw some improvement. I look no more victories. Again, this offense had its chances to put up points. They failed to do so. That's poor execution by the Ravens offense and Cooper Rush. But hey, that's something to look forward to as Lamar Jackson will be back after the bye week. Harbaugh already said that he would. Roquan Smith will likely be back as well after the bye week. So that's something that you can definitely lean on and give Ravens fans some hope here because you're getting some of your top guys back to going on a historic run, which I believe the Ravens can do here. Everyone's writing them off. Everyone's talking about that's crazy. You know, you're 1-5. Teams that are 1-5 typically don't make the playoffs, and they don't. Their percentages will tell you. But said it before, I'll say it again. Still don't believe the Ravens season is over. I think when you have games against the Chicago Bears, the New York Jets, the Miami Dolphins with no Tyreek Hill, the Patriots who are playing better, and the AFC North being what it is, the Cincinnati Bengals now starting Joe Flacco. That's a crazy story. Instead of Joe Burrow. And now you got the Cleveland Browns starting a rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, although they've looked very well, they played very well in the first 5 games. I have not been impressed. I have not looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers and saying like, oh, there's no way that the Ravens can beat them. I don't feel that way. Yes, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a rivalry game. It always is a close game. It's always going to be tough, no matter what the record is, no matter who's on that team. Ravens Steelers, it always comes down to the wire. But I do believe the Ravens can get into the playoffs by winning the AFC North. At the very least, I think they become a wild card. I can see the Ravens finishing the season 11-6 or 10-7 and getting into the playoffs. I really do. I think Lamar Jackson is going to go absolutely scorched earth when he comes back because he's tired of watching this losing. He's tired of watching, this team fall right before him, and he can't really do anything about it because he has to nurse that hamstring injury. And I'm really glad that the Ravens did not rush him back. Hamstring injuries can linger. It can become a huge problem if you don't heal correctly and sit out. You can't play on it. You got to sit out and actually let it heal. And I think he's done a great job of that. I think with this upcoming bye week, it would get Lamar Jackson more rest, give him time to get to shake some of the rust off. And there's going to be some rust when he comes back. Let's talk about it right now. There's going to be some rust in that first game when he comes back. But he's too great of a player to not shake it off and come back and beat Lamar Jackson. So you add that with Roquan Smith coming back, the team overall getting more healthy. There's a lot of optimism in Baltimore that the Ravens can begin this turnaround. It's got to start against the Chicago Bears, and they got to carry it on, because I think realistically the Ravens can only lose maybe 2 more games, and after that you're not making the playoffs. And who knows what will happen with the future of this coaching staff if that were to be so. So, I take away from the last thing I take away is Tyler Huntley. I wish that Tyler Huntley had started the second half. Now, I'm not saying that he lit it up in passing the football and everything. It wasn't. Neither quarterback looked really good, Cooper Rush or Tyler Huntley. But at least with Tyler Huntley, it makes the defense think that maybe Huntley can run the ball and be a threat doing that. And we saw that. He scrambled. It was a 4th and 12. Huntley scrambled for like 19 yards easily, but that's because the defense didn't expect it. Even though there's tape on Tyler Huntley that he's done that before, but the combination of having a Derrick Henry along with a Tyler Huntley with his ability to scramble, it at least makes the defense think about it. With Cooper Rush, you weren't thinking about it at all. Like, Cooper Rush isn't going to hurt you with his legs. You got to worry about Derrick Henry and making sure that he doesn't get started. And Derrick Henry had a very good game, in my opinion. He had 122 yards rushing. Should have had a touchdown, but poor execution, like I said before. But there is no threat of Cooper Rush running the football if he's out there. So it makes it for the defense, it's a lot more easier to deal with versus a quarterback who has the ability to run with the football like Tyler Huntley has. So I thought maybe if Tyler Huntley had started the second half of this game, who knows? It was 3-3 still. So it should have been 10-3, but you couldn't get it in. And look, it's 3-3 at the half. Who knows, man? Roll out Tyler Huntley. They haven't seen him in a while. They don't know his tendencies all that well, like a Cooper Rush. You never know. I think maybe if Tyler Huntley was in there, I think the Ravens could have pulled off, probably could have stole the win at home. That's just how I feel about it. But this is where we are, 1-5. I got all the confidence in the world in this team. I'm going to roll the dice with my gut, saying that this team is not finished and that they will make the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. It becomes a 1-game season. Everyone's one and done. Nobody can afford to lose or the season's over. So you never know. But I think this team has everything it needs to start making a run, and it starts with getting that superstar, Lamar Jackson. The New York Football Giants defeat the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles 34-17. Jackson Dart with 17-25, 195 yards and a touchdown, another 58 yards on the ground rushing for Dart. Cam Scatterboo, I mean, he was quickly becoming a crowd favorite if he hasn't already. 19 carries, 98 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This is the most fun quarterback running back duo I think right now in the NFL. I don't think there's any quarterback running back duo more fun right now to watch than Cam Scatterboo and Jackson Dart. And I say this because look, no one had any expectations for the Giants. It was all about, building for the future. Jackson Dart will eventually play. Russell Wilson was a placeholder, blah, blah, blah. But watching these kids play, these young men, it's been fun. Like, you can feel like the atmosphere of MetLife Stadium just totally changing to like it's positive vibes. It's fun. Like, there's a lot of juice in there. Like, there's a lot of excitement watching these two guys play. It's giving this team belief that they can compete. And you didn't have it. You honestly didn't have that with Russell Wilson. You didn't have that with Tracy starting at running back. No offense, but Cam Scatterboo brings a different kind of juice. The guy loves to run over people. He gives you that old school feeling at running back, and he's kind of crazy. When he's out there running, he runs like a crazy dude. Wants to run over guys and make sure you feel it. Jackson Dart is diving for first downs out of bounds. You don't love that as a coach. You probably don't want your quarterback, running and diving over people and taking the kind of hits that Dart's been taking. That'll come with coaching in time. He'll learn to get down. But right now, like, Dart and Scatterboo have brought so much juice to this team. They believe. They believe that they can compete in these games. And the Giants already have exceeded expectations for me. I came into the season wondering if the Giants were going to win a football game. I really wondered if they were going to go 0-17. Unless, like, they run into a team where they're resting their starters and they're playing against backups at the end of the season. I didn't think they'd win. But Scatterboo and Dart had just infused so much energy into this team, into MetLife Stadium, into fans who have just been begging for something to cheer about over the past few years. And it's been rough. The Daniel Jones years, losing Saquon Barkley, watching, Tommy DeVito play quarterback. And they had a little bit of fun with Tommy DeVito and all that. But honestly, they weren't going anywhere. And they understood that. But having Dart and Scatterby they changed the perception. I'm not saying that the Giants are going to all of a sudden go on a run and make the playoffs or anything like that. I think we need to pump the brakes there. I still think that they're probably going to miss the playoffs, but they're at least a lot more fun to watch. And I think that it's going to continue to grow. I think the Dart Scatterby combination is going to continue to, turn some heads and then, bring some more eyeballs to the New York Giants for the future. And if you're the Giants coaching staff, if you're the Giants ownership, don't screw this up. You got something really nice going here. It's fun to watch. Don't screw it up. Protect Jackson Dart. Protect him from himself if you need to at times. Teach him to get down, all that stuff. But keep building around this duo. Build around this duo. Malik Neighbors will be back next year, hopefully. We hate that he went down, and hurt his knee like he did. But keep building around this duo. You have something growing here that, who knows? Maybe it could be special. Maybe it could just be a one-year wonder. But who knows? I like what I've been seeing from Jackson Dart. I think there's only ascension going on from there. Same thing with Cam Scatterby. So don't screw this up, Giants. Do the right thing. Take care of these two guys and keep building around them. The Chiefs are back. Handily beating the Detroit Lions 30-17. Mahomes looked like Mahomes. Kelsey looks like the old Kelsey right now. He's playing very well. They're running the football a lot better with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Defense, held a powerful offense in Detroit to just 17 points. Like that's absurd. With seeing how great Detroit's been all season long. Juju Smith-Schuster's been a factor. Hollywood Brown's been a factor. Xavier Worthy, so you have all that speed coming back. And now you have Rashee Rice, who was suspended for the first 6 games. He's going to be back. So you add that guy to this offense and how it's been clicking as of late. All of a sudden, well, hey, don't look now, but a familiar face is emerging in the AFC and in their division. We came to the season thinking that, this is the year that the Chiefs' kingdom is going to fall. The Chargers got out to a 3-0 lead, a 3-0 start in their division in the AFC West. Chiefs aren't going to catch them, all that stuff. It just every year and it's funny because we used to talk about this with the Patriots and Tom Brady back in those days, where this year where the Brady Empire falls, where the Patriots finally don't go back to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs were never going anywhere. And I never agreed that the kingdom was falling and that the Chiefs would probably miss the playoffs. I won't believe it until somebody shows me that the Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs, whether it's being knocked out in the playoffs or I see a post where it says eliminated. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They are still the team to beat in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes is still the king of the AFC until somebody takes him out. We can talk about Josh Allen. We can talk about Burrow. We can talk about Lamar Jackson and how good these teams are and how they could take out Kansas City. Josh Allen, they're so close. It's like this feels like Josh Allen's year, blah, blah, blah. And then he loses to Kansas City again. So I've heard this story a million times, and it hasn't been done yet. So until it's done, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They're still the big bad wolf. They're still the enemy of the AFC because everyone hates them at this point. And that's what happens when you win. Everyone starts to hate you. It doesn't really matter, how nice of guys you are. People start finding things to hate you. And part of it's because you're winning. We used to hate Tom Brady and the Patriots because they always freaking won. Even when it seemed like there were other teams emerging to take them out and have their turn with the Super Bowl, they didn't take out Brady when it was time. So this is where we are. The Chiefs are storming back. They're only going to get better until someone takes them out. I don't want to hear anything else about, Chiefs falling and that it's somebody else's year until it happens. Someone's got to show me. Could Baker Mayfield possibly be the league MVP this year? Remember Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick originally back in 2018 for the Cleveland Browns. That same draft that contained Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen. Cleveland ended up getting rid of Baker Mayfield because they had a chance to get Deshaun Watson at the time. Baker ended up going to Carolina, where it did not look really too well. And then he ended up in L.A., played for the Rams for a game or two. Then ends up in Tampa Bay, battling it out with Kyle Trask, and people are wondering if that was a mistake. Guys, Baker Mayfield is completing 66% of his passes. He's thrown for over 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, and his 1 interception. He's willed Tampa Bay to this 4-1 record because they have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat in all of their games. With the exception of that bad interception he had against the Eagles late in that game, where they were also fighting back and had a chance to win it. Baker Mayfield's been lights out. And he's done it with his best receivers going. His entire wide receiver room is down. Like his top 3 guys. Mike Evans has been out. Chris Godwin's been in and out of the lineup. Now Ibuka, the rookie sensation, who I think is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm sorry, he's now injured. So now you're throwing to your 4th, 5th, and 6th guys on the depth chart at wide receiver. He's still finding a way to win. He had a monster quarterback run, just scrambling, trying to make something out of nothing, breaks a couple of tackles, reaches out for the first down, gets up, and has that Baker Mayfield attitude where it's like, well, people famously gave him crap for it, saying like, oh, he's cocky, he's, kind of a jerk and a-hole, whatever. Now it's the Baker Mayfield moxie and the confidence and all that. So it's like, and he said in his press conference, when you're winning, it solves a lot of stuff. It changes the narrative all of a sudden. It goes from cocky to moxie and all that stuff. And you know what? He's absolutely right. I have to say that right now, if I had a vote for MVP, I'm giving that right to Baker Mayfield because he's been sensational. He's been lights out, man. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just finding ways to get it done. When your defense isn't really getting stops, just give him the ball. He's going to find a way to get you a win late in the game. So the clutch factor is there. The efficiency is there with the completion percentage. And the stats are there overall. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception, 66% completion percentage. Baker Mayfield right now, he is number 1 on my top MVP candidates right now. He's number 1. There's no question about it. Penn State fires head coach James Franklin. They've agreed to a $56 million buyout. Guys, I can't say that I'm shocked. I can't say that this wasn't coming. I can't say that I also wasn't campaigning for it because I was. I watch a lot of Penn State football. I spent some years at Penn State, so there's a love there for me. This had to be done. It had to be done. So it wasn't just before everyone jumps to saying like, oh, so 3 games get you fired. No, it wasn't just those 3 games. The loss against UCLA, the loss against Northwestern, another big game loss to Oregon. Guys, James Franklin finishes his career 4-21 against the AP top 10. That's really not great. 1-16 against Ohio State. The one team that continues to get in your way year after year after year for Penn State football to get a national championship. It's the same team, and you couldn't get it done. So you follow all that up with this season. Everyone's talking about how Penn State might have the best roster in college football. They should be number 1, not ranked number 2. All this talk about is this Penn State's year? Is this Penn State's year? This is Penn State's year. No, it was more of the same, and in fact, it got worse. Not only do you lose a big game, a whiteout game at home against Oregon, a team that was in front of you in the rankings, a team that you needed to beat to kind of establish that you are here, and this is a different Penn State. That you really do have a shot in the national championship. But you lose that game. You follow that up with losing to a winless UCLA Bruins team that was 0-4 going into that game. Head coach is gone, offensive coordinator is gone, defensive coordinator is gone, and you lose to them. You give up 42 points to that team, and you lose. 25.5-point favorite. Oh, yeah, but it doesn't stop there. You come back home to State College during homecoming, and you lose to Northwestern, a 22.5-point favorite against that team, and you lose that game at home. There's no excuse for it. It's inexcusable. That was you can say that was a nail in the coffin. I think the writing was on the wall for a long time, and it should have been done quite sooner. Quite frankly, I gotta be honest, guys. This is not the standard that Penn State football has. It's higher than that. This team there's been too many talented rosters coming through this university for this football program to keep coming up short over and over and over again and not being able to beat Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh came into Michigan and dominated Ohio State because Michigan couldn't beat Ohio State for a long time. Harbaugh came in and he finally turned it around, and Michigan was owning Ohio State for the past few years. we never saw that. We haven't seen that turnaround with Penn State under James Franklin. Ohio State continues to dominate them. And now it's like to literally throw salt in the wound and twist it in the wound. Your starting quarterback, Drew Aller, is done for the season with a knee injury. I mean, that's just, you talk about how it could get any worse than that. That is just the last bit of, like, insult to injury that you can put in there. Your starting quarterback goes down. Where does Penn State go from here? This season is going to have to be one that Penn State fans are going to have to endure. It might get tough. It might get bad because you're going in now with an interim coach. Your starting quarterback's down. You don't really know much about the backup quarterback here. And you're wondering who's going to take over at the helm for next season. There have been some names that have been thrown out there. Matt Rule recently was asked about it, the Nebraska head coach, and he didn't necessarily dismiss it, even though he said he loves Nebraska, but he did not say that he wasn't interested. So that's something to look for. That's something to kind of keep your eye on. I think Matt Rule is a pretty good coach. I'm sure he'll be in the hat with many other qualified candidates to come, because this is a huge job, as everyone knows. Penn State has so much history behind their football program. This will be one of the most sought after jobs in the offseason. And I'm sure that whoever's in charge of hiring will get this right and try to enter in the new era of Penn State football. This is going to be one of those tough transitions that we haven't really seen since Penn State went through that turmoil with Joe Paterno and how those seasons were ending up. You went from him to Bill O'Brien, who injected some energy, but it took him a couple of years to kind of get Penn State back on track. So I think we're going to see a little bit of what we saw back then, with the fallout of what everything happened back then during those times. I think we're going to see some of that. But I do believe that Penn State will find their next best head coach, and I think they will eventually get back on track. But for this season, it's probably going to be tough sledding. We'll see how they respond. But most teams, when you find yourself in a situation with head coaches fired midseason, your starting quarterback goes down, typically you start seeing the wheels kind of fall off a little bit here. So we'll see how they respond. But my advice to Penn State fans, just kind of gear up for maybe a tough rest of the season here. This is the Club JG podcast.